Hey, what's going on? This is TNS Time and Space, and I would like to welcome you to episode 3 of Talk and Scroll. In episode 1, we talked about Deshaun Watson, and since that time, he has actually signed a lucrative contract with the Cleveland Browns. Now, I want to discuss this particular article, and actually, you know what? I'm not even going to stop this video. I forgot to say, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and also hit that bell notification for whenever I post new videos like this. Well, it won't be new forever, but anyway, I want to just jump right into it. We are discussing Deshaun Watson. Now, he signed a lucrative contract, 5 years, $230 million, with the Cleveland Browns. He was traded by the Houston Texans, and I want to talk about this particular article. It's in regards to Chiefs offensive lineman Mitchell Schwartz. He had a problem, or he has a problem, with Deshaun Watson's contract. And I just want to talk and scroll like I've been doing to talk about the views that he expressed, and we'll go from there. So, also, by the way, I can tell you without reading this article, I did look through it. I'm not going to read it verbatim to you, but I can tell you that the slant is certainly anti Deshaun Watson. So let's go ahead and get into it. So, actually, proof of that is where they said they weren't afraid to ramp up the sketchiness of their transactions. So, automatically, that tells you that there's some bias against Deshaun Watson. So, let's jump into it. First and foremost, this tweet says, "How can Deshaun Watson get away with this? Deshaun Watson signed sketchy contract with the Browns that will save him a ton of money. The issue is that the way the contract is structured, it sort of insulates Deshaun Watson from any potential, financial ramifications if he's suspended for the season. First of all, I wouldn't call it sketchy. I mean, it's a legal transaction and there are no criminal charges pending. And people have civil suits at times. No, it's not normally 22 women accusing you or 22 women bringing a civil suit, but we're going to get into that because I don't believe that allegations alone should pause your life, especially when they're not criminal. So let's go ahead and scroll through. So basically, it's talking about how he's paid a base salary of only 1 million. Number one, it says only 1 million. That's still a lot of money. I know it may not be a lot of money relative to professional athletes, but that's a lot of money. And then it also says so he'll only lose $55,555 per game. They say he'll only lose that. First of all, that's hilarious to me because that exceeds a lot of people's annual salary, and that's per game. Now, you can argue about whether or not professional athletes are paid too much. That's an entirely different conversation. That's an ongoing debate. But $55,000 per game, and there's 16 games, that's a lot of money. So as the article goes on to mention, it rubbed people the wrong way, one of them being Kansas City Chiefs offensive lineman Mitchell Schwartz. So let's take a look at this. He says, the Watson trade and contract still doesn't feel right to me. Do we have any clarity on the 22 lawsuits against him? From what I've seen, especially the grand jury non-indictment doesn't mean much and surely doesn't absolve him. Now that's funny to me because actually the non-indictment, it means a whole lot. That's the reason why the Cleveland Browns felt comfortable to offer the contract because there aren't any criminal charges pending. People have civil suits all the time. Again, they're not necessarily this type of civil suit, but lawsuits alone and allegations alone shouldn't stop you from making a living. That's first and foremost. And the league will certainly determine if there was a violation of the personal conduct policy. So then he goes on to say the $1 million base salary the first year feels slimy and wrong. And look, I follow contracts. I understand that most deals have a big signing bonus and relatively low base salary the first year. Mine did, but this feels purposeful. He got paid millions last year not play as well. Well, that's just part of the contract. Again, these were allegations. Allegations alone should not ruin your life. I'm sorry to tell you. I understand that there's a movement to believe all women. I certainly believe that these allegations or any mention of sexual assault should be taken seriously. And my attitude is that a grand jury investigating and figuring out whether they should pursue criminal charges, that's about as serious as it gets. Another thing, as far as him being paid to do nothing, he missed out on a year playing the game that he loves. I know it's just a game, but think about it. Imagine if you were sidelined from your profession for a year, while this plays out. So that's something to consider. And this person also even says, they said that their particular contract had a low base salary. So that's a typical example of a bias where you always believe that there's justification for what you receive, that if you receive something, then it's just because of your hard work. And if someone else receives something, then it's because of something nefarious. Or a better way that I can explain it is if there's any misfortune, if you have misfortune, it's because of circumstances. But if someone else has misfortune, it's because of their personal shortcomings. So moving along. So he says, now he's traded for 3 first-round picks, signs the biggest guaranteed contract of all time, and breaks lots of contract precedent to do it. And yet he's got 22 civil cases against him, and the NFL will most likely still suspend him. There's strong corroborating evidence. Well, I would be curious to know if this gentleman is a part of the accuser's legal team, because he's speaking as if he's the opposing counsel, so to speak. And it says, who knows if it was actually Cleveland's words saying they want an adult at quarterback? They sure haven't pushed back on that. If not, have they? My imagery of an adult at quarterback doesn't include someone getting sued by 22 women for sexual assault or sexual misconduct. See, you know what? I think people fail to realize that this could happen to you. We always think that it could never happen to us, and we do our virtue signaling as if we could never be falsely accused. This can happen, especially to a professional athlete. You may not agree with his actions, but it's been investigated. The grand jury declined to bring forth criminal charges. They investigated it. That's as serious as it gets. And ultimately, these tweets are proof that Deshaun Watson is still going to have to live with this. Even if he's innocent, he's still going to have to live with the perception and overcome that. So to me, that's a punishment in and of itself. I'm not going to say that he's 100% innocent or that there may not have been something that happened, but we have our legal proceedings for a reason, and we shouldn't have our lives dictated by people's judgments or their assumptions. So this person says, my hope is that if the NFL suspends him, the team is able to void the contract. In the NFL, it seems like unless there's video evidence, the league doesn't react very strongly. It's like we don't trust something happened unless we see it. And that's how the NFL bases punishment. That I really want to key on, because this gentleman is saying that unless there's video evidence, the league doesn't react very strongly. I believe that can go both ways. So he's saying that just because there's not video evidence that the NFL is, not reacting in the way that they should, or not being as harsh towards Deshaun Watson. But what about the fact that there's no video evidence to support the accusers? That goes both ways. It says we don't trust something happened unless we see it, but yet you hear believe all women. So the accusers don't need video evidence. The accusers, we should automatically trust what they said just because there's 22 of them. Because on the flip side, you could say that with that number of people and the timing, you could say that that could be corroborated. You know what I mean? That could be a collaborative effort. You know what I mean? To do something lucrative. But anyway, he says, we'll see on that. The NFL clearly been slow playing it. They might determine this is all true and suspend him for a year or who knows how long. The 22 lawsuits Watson faces aren't gone. He's not absolved. But teams, fans, whoever are treating him as innocent. It just seems wrong. Actually, he's not being treated as innocent. He's being treated as guilty because it seems as though people were really rooting for criminal charges. So again, it goes back to whenever things happen that challenge our existing beliefs, we can't deal with that cognitive dissonance. So anyway, he says, and somebody just showed an article saying the team structured the deal to protect Watson's money should he be suspended, which is even worse, going out of your way to protect a guy who might be suspended for sexually assaulting or harassing 22 plus women. No, I don't like that at all. So, and then the article finishes by saying, that last part is especially troubling as it shows just how far NFL teams are willing to go in order to secure top level talent, even if it means selling their souls to the devil. That is strong language. I hope that people realize the impact of that language. Number one, the civil suits are still ongoing. So when you say you don't trust that something happened without video evidence, and what have you, that should go both ways. Why are we automatically trusting the accusers? If anything, we should let it play out. We should let the legal system play out. And this gentleman has a problem with the Cleveland Browns acting as if Deshaun Watson is innocent. Honestly, in regards to criminal charges, there is no innocence or guilt because they have declined, they being the grand jury, have declined to press charges. So there's not even a trial forthcoming or anything like that. As far as the civil proceedings, again, I do not believe that your life should be held hostage while this plays out. He has the right to make a living. And honestly, that's a matter of the free market. Whether you like it or not, Deshaun Watson has a particular skill set that the marketplace finds valuable. And it's the Cleveland Browns. They haven't had the most success. So yes, maybe they did structure the contract in a way that would encourage Deshaun Watson to sign on the dotted line. So I just wanted to point all of that out. Once again, this is TNS Time and Space with another episode of Talk and Stroll. Talk and Scroll. I'm sorry, not Talk and Stroll. Talk and Scroll. Y'all take it easy.